what do you define as America? Like, what do you think America is? What would you consider America?
Have you ever been racist towards someone of your own race?
American means the stereotypical person I think of as somebody who's blonde, blue-eyed, white. So that's the image that they push out there as what is American.
It's actually very ironic. I actually am I am adopted by Caucasian parents who are very much this ideal image of the American. They're Aryan, blonde, blue eyes. So it's really interesting because I grew up like kind of like weirdly indoctrinated with that whole ideal and expected to follow along when I was very clearly not experiencing what they were hoping for me to experience, especially in school. More conservative area with a lot of white kids who thought racism was funny. And I've got a younger brother who's very deeply indoctrinated into that. And like that question about have you been racist against your own race? And the answer is yes. For my younger brother, you have to insult and erase like his own identity to fit into this crowd. You're very typical, stereotypical white American.
But have you been able to talk to your parents about that?
Funnily enough, I've tried to, but like it's really interesting that their mindset is very unfortunate you had to deal with it, but it's like not your problem anymore. Expectations have been built around it, like now I'm seeing this history laid out in front of me as to why this is all happening, and I'm just like, wow, my parents lied to me. They will never understand what I have gone through, and I don't think they ever will. Finding like not having that sense of belonging anywhere, like even in my own house, it's wild.
Within my own family, like I come from a bi-ethnic family, so my father's first generation Mexican American and my mother's white. I look more like my father, and also my name is very like Latina. Like I've had to have conversations with my mom when I was growing up. She used to say like, you know, you're an exotic beauty, and I'd be like, I didn't know why it hurt, but it did. She was one of those people that would say like, but I don't really see race, like. And then but that hurt even more. But I managed to really get through to her. She's my mom, and I want to like give her the benefit of the doubt. And she's a person that's worth it for me to like walk through like why that's hurtful.
So my family is from India, but still have a lot of similar conservative ideals. And I found this in a lot of South Asians actually. So as far as like being anti-Muslim, like very border patrol-y, ironically. And anti-immigration, and it's just like really interesting seeing them like almost embody this like American ideal.
It's the idea of like assimilation.
I was telling a story about my grandmother who, in response to that question, she's Filipino, she came, she wanted to marry American to improve her race, and that was how she came to America. And so she's always been very against us going to the Philippines or learning Tagalog or really asking her about her past at all. She wants to be American. I'd never shared it with anyone, and she was talking about this, and no one had heard this from her before, and so I felt like I was kind of living with that story alone.
So interesting. It's like almost like a self-selection of like the people who come to America.
That's a really interesting, because I have a similar experience, but I think for a different reason. So my parents, my mother's from Vietnam and my father's from China, and they both grew up during times when the Communist Party was, in China the Communist Party is still in power, but when it was also very bad. So my mother grew up during the Vietnam War. She's actually a refugee. She escaped from Vietnam. And so, like, she never really told us much. So she also died when I was young, so I'm not very connected with the Vietnamese part. But also, the rest of my family, my mother's family, didn't really talk about it because it was just such a traumatic experience for them. I remember, like, one of the few stories that my mom told us was that they would have to move houses like every month, and that my grandpa would always make their house look like the house next to them to avoid getting bombed. And so then that's like why my family never wanted to like go back to Vietnam and didn't really want to teach us Vietnamese, especially growing up like with these parents who like came to America and like so kind of like be American, like you can be proud to be Chinese but also be American.
Right.
Also experiencing like most of you guys in childhood, most of my friends or my schoolmates were Caucasian, you know, made the racist jokes and kind of you have to make the racist jokes as well to fit in. And then now kind of Asian stuff is trendy and cool and it's like this is kind of kind of an odd time, you know.
It is whack, but it's also like the racism has not left that because a lot of the times there's no genuine harm like they were talking about. They come at it very much from a place of privilege and viewing us as novelty.
I feel like cultural appropriation also kind of becomes like a sort of interesting factor. I see this a lot, especially with yoga studios. Like, I really don't like them. Not that I practice yoga or anything, but like just knowing the history behind it, that's coming from my culture, and it's always become like a white trendy thing. And all these studios are mainly like run by like white people.
You know, I fight with my dad about the word Oriental. He always wants to use that word, and or he'll generalize it. You know how it's Oriental, so you know how it is, and I'm like, what? How is it, Dad? What are you talking about?
My dad will say some stupid shit, and it's just like, why do you think you can say that? Like, you know. I feel embarrassed saying this, but he's at points have said like, I think I can say the N-word because I'm brown, and I'm like, you can't.
So a lot of South Asians, or at least within my family and like their family, kind of racist to East Asians. Not liking the food, just being like, I hate seaweed, they eat fish, oh, Koreans eat dogs. Like, it's pretty bad. And I remember, like, as a very young child, I think I was like, I put my eyes up and like was trying to speak Chinese or something, and like it was really bad. I mean, once I was, you know, out of that house in high school and everything, interacting with real people, it's like, it's gone. And I'm like, what was I doing? But it's just like a very interesting example of like, it's handed on, but it can be unlearned, I guess.
My question is, have you ever felt pressure to perform your identity?
Does like culture like incline you, like the American culture kind of incline you to do things, to perform or to educate, or in various ways, or just like, or things you have to just kind of like put up with in order to like I guess get by and find like at least a minimal sense of belonging?
In the working world, you don't necessarily have this community kind of talk. So in the future, when you go into the working world, how will you create an environment like this?
How have you been made to feel embarrassed by an aspect of yourself?
What does it really mean for a culture to be appropriated? And what's like a way to embrace another culture and share it with the world that's not appropriating it?